Hey there you guys, welcome back. Today we are going to transplant this Philodendron Gloriosum and put it into a slightly bigger pot. It's not that it needs a bigger pot, it's just, as you can see, this is a creeping or a crawling variety of philodendron. It has a little stem, it looks like a rhizome, but it's a stem that is creeping along the top of the soil, and it has reached the edge of the pot. I probably could get away with having it grow one more leaf and it will be fine. But I just want to transplant it so it's in a better pot. It's starting to push the edge of this plastic pot away, and I just want to give it a little bit more space. And I wanted to put it in a clay pot. I'm having an issue with things staying a little bit too wet, so I'm going to transplant it and see what happens. So I'm going to plant it into this unglazed terracotta bowl. It's like a bulb pan. So I'm hoping that because it's not very deep, it's going to dry out a lot faster than if it was a deeper pot. So that's what I'm hoping for, and because it's in terracotta, it's going to dry out faster anyway. I hope I'm not setting myself up for failure, because right now I tend to be keeping them very wet. Not very wet, but moist. Yeah, I'll need to get used to a new watering schedule. So anyway, this is the cute little pot that it's going to go in. This is the fun little plant that we're going to be putting in it, and let's go over to the table and get this thing done. We'll see what the root system looks like. I'm not sure what it looks like. I haven't unpotted it, but the plant seems to be growing just fine. So I assume that the root system is going to be okay. So let's check it out. Okay, so we're all set up here. First off, I'm going to put the plant and pot to the side. Let's check out our soil that we're going to be using. Okay, so first we've got the coconut husk. I've rehydrated it in water. I've rinsed it, and it's all looking pretty good. And then I've got the this is the ProMix HP for high porosity. So this is a peat-based potting soil, and it's got added perlite, extra perlite. So it really drains freely. We're going to add a little bit more perlite to it, just because you want to have that extra draining ability. What else do I have here? I've also got some perlite. We're going to add some perlite to it, some extra, like I said. I've got some slow release fertilizer. I'm going to add a little bit of that in there just because. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be adding it, but I do like using slow release fertilizer. And I haven't done this before, but I'm going to use, because I have it, I've had this bag for a while, this charcoal. So this helps out with the soil. It keeps it sweet, they say. So I'm going to add a handful or two of this as well. So I've already got a little bit mixed up in here, but I'm going to make more. You want to have, with the philodendrons, you want to have a really free draining mix. They don't mind being watered, they just need good airflow to the roots. So you want to make sure that your soil isn't compacted. So I'm going to use maybe 1 part of my soil, my ProMix HP high porosity, and then I'm going to do the same thing with my coconut husk. I'm going to do about 1 part of that. And then I'm going to add some slow release fertilizer, just a bunch. And then I'm going to add some more perlite. Careful not to breathe in the dust of perlite. It's best to do this in a well-ventilated area. And we're just going to mix it up thoroughly. You can use orchid bark in here as well if you have it. You could use leca beads if you have that. You just want to have something that is very free draining, but also holds on to some moisture. You want to get good airflow to the roots. That's what we're trying to do. My journey with philodendrons has been a short journey, and there's been a big learning curve for them. My biggest thing was I've been overwatering. So using this clay pot should help me out a lot with that. I'm actually going to get a piece of paper towel and put it in the bottom just to cover the hole. If you have a piece of screen or something, this hole is quite large. I just don't want to lose a lot of my soil through the hole. Okay, so I don't need a full piece of paper towel. I just want to cover the hole a little bit. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of the soil mix to the bottom of the pot. I don't need to add very much. Now let's move this all to the side. Let's see what's in this this pot. I'm quite excited to see what the root system looks like, and I'm also quite nervous. I was really hoping to divide this out a little bit, but it's still a little bit too young to divide. So the roots actually aren't so bad. They're starting to get a little bit more robust. As you can see, we've got a nice root system here, or a nice root here. It's not as big as I'd like it to be, but these philodendrons, they don't seem to have a giant root system. Since they crawl along the soil surface, the newest growth seems to have the best part of the root. Alright, so let's just try to take off as much of this soil as I can. I used moss in the beginning. I've got a ball of moss in here. I don't know that I'll be able to get it all out without damaging roots. And that's alright, I don't need to take everything off. I just want to take off as much as I can. This plant has been doing really, really well over the last couple of months. I think I got it as a small cutting, rooted cutting in June, I think, of 2020. So it's done rather well. Alright, so I think I've taken off as much as I'm going to take off. So what I want to do is move this stuff out of the way. I usually have my little mat, but I didn't set it up today. We're going to pull this pot back into frame. And I want to start this plant off to the side because as the plant grows, it's going to grow in this direction. Kind of like an orchid, kind of like a Cattleya orchid where it will grow in one direction. And yeah, so now I'm just going to add some more soil into the pot. And I want to rest it. I want to rest this stem kind of just on top of the soil surface. This is a fun little process to do. I'm excited to see how it does in this pot. As you can see, the root system's not huge, so you really need to be careful on how you pot it, because staying wet is a big thing with a plant that doesn't have a gigantic root system. If you pot it in too big of a pot, there's too much soil just sitting there not getting utilized by the roots, and it can cause rot. And root rot is a big thing when it comes to philodendrons and anthuriums. Alright, so there we go. I believe we're all set up here. This plant is all potted up in its new home. Now I want to plant it or put it in an area where it gets bright indirect light. It's such a learning curve for these guys as to what light is strong enough, because they don't want bright light. If they get too bright a light, you get the washout of the leaves, and the nice deep color of the leaves is what you really want. So, but they don't want to be too dark either. So it's such a learning curve. Bright indirect is the best way to do it, and move your plant around accordingly, judging by its growth rate. I'm going to water this in right after this video. Just give it a light drink. And stay tuned for more updates on this. I'll probably have it posted to Instagram soon enough. I'll try changing the direction of the light maybe so that it's growing towards the sun, and the leaves should turn, they should tilt, the new leaves anyway, towards the light. So it'll be quite interesting. I'm excited to see how this does, because over time each new leaf has gotten bigger than the last. So I'm very excited to see the size of the leaf jumps, and hopefully that continues. And hopefully in the next couple of months it reaches the edge of the pot and I can repot it again and maybe propagate it. Maybe I can take some cuttings. So stay tuned for more updates on this eventually. Instagram will probably have it more than YouTube will, so if you're not following me on Instagram, do so. The link is on my homepage. So anyway, until next time, you guys, happy growing!